Mic check, 1, 2. I hope the sound is good for you, like it is for me. I got some feedback on some of the last episodes, and the feedback was turn the volume up a little bit because apparently you all are having to blare your phones all the way to the top out there. So here I am, turning the volume up. I hope it sounds good. This is Martha with Light Diamond Creative, bringing you episode 7 of the meditation audio series, aka the 9 Chakra System series. And today we are talking about comparing perspectives of the chakras and the 9 chakra system, which is what I am sharing through this series. The 9 chakra system, the science behind it, and the meditations themselves that have been handed down to me through an anointed Buddhist monk, Vajradarshan. Again, my name is Martha. You can find me on Light Diamond Creative on YouTube and Instagram. And all of the wonderful information about what is being created comes out on those channels. So please feel free to subscribe. Feel free to follow. You'll get all the good stuff there. You'll hear it there first, all right? That's Light Diamond Creative. Again, today is episode 7, and we're talking about the perspectives of the chakras because you are probably aware that there's a lot of information out there about the chakras. And just because there might be varying information does not mean it is wrong or right necessarily. So here today, we'll be talking about some of those different perspectives and what makes up a really rich view, a contemporary view, modern view on the chakras, the energy wheels, the energy centers. You might be able to hear that mine are flowing so well today. And just a heads up, if you have not listened to episode 1, I highly recommend going back, starting from the beginning. Right from the beginning with the science of meditation. And that'll give you a good intro to what this series is about. And of course, episode 2 is awesome, root chakra, with a little introduction to the root chakra, traditional meditation. And then episode 3 is really awesome. It's a deep dive discussion about the root chakra and the interpretation by yours truly about the meaning of it, as I've discovered for myself in my journey of meditating. So really looking forward to that one dropping. At the time of me recording this episode number 7, episode 3 is actually dropping tonight. So I'm feeling very excited to have that come online to be shared with you all. I hope you go check out that episode. And then let's see, what are the other episodes? Oh yeah, episode 4 is a pure meditation with the root chakra. And that is comprised of a visualization, keyword, and a beautiful Sanskrit mantra, which you receive the translation for. There are some really special events coming up. So if you are in the Northwest Arkansas area, again, I hope you check me out on the platforms online, especially Light Diamond Creative on Instagram, because that's where I do most of my marketing for these events and for the meditation classes that I guide. The meditation classes until April, check it, until April, are in Fayetteville at the Human Experience every Wednesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. for 75 minutes, ending at 8:45 p.m. Those classes are $15. You can come in, we'll meditate, we'll go through all the 9 chakras. It's awesome. So you are invited to come attend a meditation class in person if you are in the local physical area. And some other classes are actually in Eureka Springs. So if you are closer to that area, then you can come check out a meditation class on Fridays and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Those are hour-long classes, and depending on if you're a member of Eureka Springs Community Center, classes are either $8 or $11. Thank you. Moving on, the events coming up, this first special event of 2023 is called Come Into Union with Yourself. That is an event that I have created and am sharing with people so that each of us, no matter where we are on our journey, can come into our essential individual energy, balance out our masculinity and our femininity, do some healing in that area, and then meditate through the 9 chakras with the intention of achieving radical self-love and internal union to be reflected to us by the external at some point in time. But we got to go within first. So that is the special event. It's available at the Human Experience, February 17th. It's also available in Eureka Springs at the Eureka Springs Community Center, February 20th. And you can check out their websites for booking or for more information, or you can follow me on Instagram and I share that information there too. So, boom. Mic drop. That is the information about classes and special events coming up. There are also special events in March and April, so stay tuned to hear about those. They're going to be awesome. And thanks for listening. Throughout this series, if you find that this information is of service to you, and if you are overflowing in monetary abundance, please feel free to donate to Light Diamond Creative on Venmo. Of course, this is free material, fully accessible to anybody who can get on YouTube, and I put energy into it, so any energy sent back to me, I greatly appreciate. Thank you. All right, moving on. What is the topic today? Yes, it is comparing perspectives about the chakras. Now, I have to say that it's all a learning process. I've been meditating through this 9 chakra system since October 2018, and there are still plenty of things that I do not know. And actually, I have definitely benefited from branching outside the 9 chakra system to see what others are saying about chakras. What is the 7 chakra perspective? What are the traditions that uphold and value the perspective of chakras? And I'm really learning a lot. I've also made mistakes, which I have to admit, because in some of the earlier episodes, like episode 2, talking about the root chakra, I gave the translation for the Sanskrit. So let me just correct that real quick, because the lessons that I've been learning, there is a basic level and there is an advanced level. And then, of course, there is all the interpretation of these lessons that the self will do after a long time of contemplation, like 4+ years. So some of the lessons have become blended and have a little bit of a Martha flair. So I had the intuition last week to go back to what the book says, what the exact words are that were given to me for the translation of this Sanskrit mantra. Here it is. So the Sanskrit is Om Vajra Manataya Swaha. When I gave the translation in episode 2 and in episode 4 about the root chakras, I gave the English translation as, "Oh, glory to the divine, so be it." The divine, now I'm out of translation now. The divine being within and of the external. That's the definition of the Sanskrit mantra that I gave. Technically, this translation is incorrect. It turns out that was a little bit more of my interpretation. And so I would like to give to you the direct translation, the literal translation that I was given by Vajra Darshan. And that translation of Om Vajra Manataya Swaha, the Sanskrit, is, "O God of the divine thunderbolt, glory." Now, maybe I had put my little flair on it, because I have to admit that the word God has been a trigger for me personally, because Well, partially because it doesn't acknowledge the feminine, okay? So what if we just add in, oh God, goddess of the divine thunderbolt glory? That is the literal translation. And I think the Buddhists are really coming up. I think they're on the hunt for more feminine energy. I think the Buddhists are really, really, really beginning to recognize that, the inequality of it all is just not right. So let's fix it from our perspective, changing our perspective to not limiting the divine source energy to masculine, because the feminine divine source energy is very important, plays a vital role in general existence. I think the Buddhists are with that. So thanks everybody. So this is not the only mistake that I made about the translation of the Sanskrit. I made another mistake, and this is partially to demonstrate that A, it's okay to make mistakes, and B, owning up to them and fixing, or, really the owning up part, that is such a beautiful way of being. I've learned a lot about humility in the practice of these Buddhist meditations, and it is humbling. It is a humbling experience. I am humbled to know that after 4 years, I gave the wrong translation of the root chakra Sanskrit. I am humbled to know that for this long, I was incorrectly pronouncing the type of Buddhism this is. It's spelled Mahajrya, Mahajrya Buddhism. I had actually spelled it incorrectly. I'm not here to just confess to you all of my mistakes, but I do think that owning up is a beautiful way of being that is the result of practicing the perspective of humility within the 9 chakra system. So yeah, I'll take it. I'll be humbled. You got the information correct now. And by the way, I also said that Mahajrya Buddhism and this 9 chakra practice can't be found online. I guess that's simply because I couldn't find it online. But I was speaking with Vajra Darshan earlier today before recording this episode, and he let me know that there is a website. So I want to offer that to you. If you all would like to check out this website and get some free information, some more free information on Mahajrya Buddhism, you can go to mahajrya.com. That is mahajrya.com. And the beginning text, when you pull up this beautiful website, says, "Your mind is your own." Boom. How beautiful. So please feel free to check out that resource for more information about what this podcast series is covering. I'll be adventuring through it later today. It's just illuminated to me. So maybe we'll journey through that together. In any case, I was correct about, give myself a little pat on the back. It is a practice of Buddhism that originates in the Tibetan sect of it all. And the Mahajrya Buddhism, it is also known as the Great Unified Field. And this is because it takes overlapping themes from different spiritualities and different spiritual teachers across the globe. The Great Unified Field is the practice that is the common thread amongst them all. I love that. The Great Unified Field. Also, when I think of the Great Unified Field, I think of physics. I think of quantum physics. I think of subatomic level energy where there is no time. And that, as a scientist, I just love. Moving on, Let's see. We got the website to you. Oh, and I did want to note too, while we're on the thread of humility and me fessing up to these slight errors I made in translation to you for you, the Buddhist perspective to me seems to be a lot about being open to learning, being open to truth, and having a curious mind. And that also means that at any given point in time, we don't know it all. There's no way the multiverse is ever expanding. And so even if we knew all of what there is to know at one point in time, this moment, right now, in the very next, there would be more because of the continuous expansion on a universal, multi-universal level through space and time. So I love that about Buddhism, that we can always be open to learning more. And if we learn something that corrects a previous way of thinking or being, then we can adapt to that correction. We don't have to feel shame. We can just move like water and accept that upgrade of information and then, hey, move forward with it. We don't need to spend too much time on being like, wow, I can't believe I messed that up, because it's okay. Moving on, there is a book I would like to recommend to you. And this book is helping me learn more about the chakras from perspectives outside of the 9 chakra system. This book is called A Little Bit of Chakras, an Introduction to Energy Healing. Shout out to one of my cousins who gave me this book for Christmas. Alexis, love you. Thank you. Some of the notes in this book I've found really interesting, partially because it talks about the history of chakras. Now, chakra being Sanskrit translated into energy wheel or a sphere of energy within the body. And something I've learned lately is that before the concepts of chakras became fully developed, a couple hundred years before Christ, the perspective was more focused on lines of energy or stations of energy. In the Taoist movement of moving chi, moving life force energy through the body, they perceived stations of energy similar to the chakras. And through and before that, up to back to 800 BC, the Hindus and India were perceiving these nadi lines, N-A-D-I, not naughty, nadi. They were not perceiving naughty lines. Anyways, nadi lines, lines of energy moving through the body. This is a huge piece of information and perspective that has influenced Eastern medicine, if we talk about acupuncture points. And eventually, as the nadi lines became illuminated and perceived, these lines of energy running through the body, the chakra concept actually came from the way that these nadi lines were perceived to intersect with each other. So whereas there were, let's say a few straight lines down the legs, and then you get into the root chakra area, well, there are actually a lot of nadi lines of energy that are intersecting here to create the sphere of energy that is the chakra. And let's see, the heart chakra, it talks about the heart chakra in the intro of this book as being the convergence of more nadi lines than anywhere else in the body. And different perspectives have estimated a different number of nadi lines, but the general consensus is that in this space of the heart chakra, there are more nadi lines intersecting than anywhere else in the body, which is really incredible. Of course, the heart space is 5,000 times more electromagnetic than the brain, even. So, wow, how is that for illuminating the power of the heart and its electromagnetic presence? Just love that. So, we talked about how the chakras have been around in India and in Hinduism for over 2,000 years, back to 800 BC. We talked about how Chinese Taoists would move life force energy, move qi through their body by perceiving stations of energy similar to the way we view chakras now. And one of the most important points, I think, is that no matter which system we look at, really what it's really about is that these systems are a way of using visualizations to bring awareness to these points of energy within the body, whether those points of energy are the nadis, the lines, or whether the points of energy are those converging centers, the chakras, where the nadi lines intersect. And I've read research that says, hey, there's 7 chakras. Hey, there's 9 chakras. Hey, there's 12 chakras. And then other texts saying that there are 80,000 chakras in the body. Okay, so something that I've adapted in my mind when I think about the chakras is that it depends on how closely we are looking at the body or how far away. Are we really zoomed in or are we more zoomed out? If we're more zoomed out, then we might see the 7 chakras serves us the best. If we zoom in a little bit, maybe we see that the 9 chakra system is the best. If we zoom in a little bit more, hey, let's light up these hand chakras. You got 2 of them on the palm. Hey, why don't we light up the feet? The chakras in the feet. How about we light up the Earth star below the body? 12 to 16 inches is what I've read. The Earth star that connects with the center of the Earth. Why don't we add that one? Hey, why don't we add the soul star, which is above the head, above the crown chakra, that even further and more clearly connects us to source, spirit, the divine, God, goddess, the external, the universe, the cosmos. And if we want to zoom in even more, then I'm sure we can find 80,000 chakras. That might take a little bit longer. But what's most important is being able to use these visualizations as a way of accessing our own energy through awareness. So, hey, if you like this system or that, I'm not going to tell you that that's wrong, because there really isn't a right or wrong. There's just what works for you. And you can accept and reject things along the way, as is your sovereign individual ability. Moving on. Let's see. One note that I really liked in the little book of chakras, talking about ancient Hindus seeing chakras as a part of a larger philosophy and spiritual practice that connects us to the universe. The chakras, these points of energy, being more than about just us as individuals, but being about the universe at large, source at large, and the way that we fit into this time-space reality. Oh, there's a lot to explore there. And another note that I loved reading about was that in 800 BC, the Hindus of India, they were seeing the chakras as a yoga practice. They were perceiving the body and these nadi lines through the practice of Kundalini yoga. And I was really surprised to understand the history of this, that the perspective of chakras came from Kundalini yoga practice. It's not the other way around. Chakras didn't come first into awareness and then Kundalini yoga evolving from that. It's actually the chakra perspective and coming from Kundalini yoga. So the Hindus were practicing Kundalini yoga, and then the chakras are a subset of that information, which would help one achieve a Kundalini awakening or general enlightenment. I thought that was super cool, so I'm glad to share that too. What I also found interesting about the text within a little bit of chakras is that there was a movement for people to become more incentivized to practice a personal spiritual structure that was individual to them, because apparently somewhere around the 800 BC era, the religious structure was like, a bunch of animal sacrifices and pretty strict priestly system. And so people became incentivized to disengage from that type of behavior and religious format and instead practice meditation and yoga in their own homes so that they could come into more of an individual connection with spirit. And spirit is the term I prefer, so I'll use that one a lot. But come into connection with whatever you want to call it. So they were using these methods to achieve or search to achieve personal enlightenment instead of being part of a massive animal slaughter. Ugh. More on this subject. This time period that we're going through is perceived by many to be the Dark Age, as translated by this time period being called the Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, where it's believed to be, quote, exceptionally difficult to achieve enlightenment because of obstacles like materialism. Isn't that interesting? It's interesting to perceive materialism as an obstacle to achieving enlightenment. Let's just sit with that for a moment, shall we? And then more on Kundalini yoga. The methods of Kundalini yoga, understanding that we are going through the Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, where it's more difficult to achieve enlightenment. The Kundalini yoga methods seek to overcome obstacles by spiritualizing the human body and creating a light body within the physical body. Now that exact way I just spoke it is a quote from the book. Again, highly recommending a little bit of chakras for your reading pleasure. But I definitely have interpreted that the process of meditating and yoga has a way of affecting us individually in such a way where, I have definitely perceived my own light body. I have perceived my internal energy become clearer and get cleaned out. Like, I like to make the analogy of my internal space being like a home where who's going to clean it? I am, and I need to put every piece that I can, every piece of furniture, every cloth, every dish, I need to put every piece in my hand and bring awareness to it so that I can sovereignly decide what is and what is not mine, what stays, what goes. And as I clear out space, then that creates a whole functional room with unlimited potential that I can turn into anything. So once I get that cleared out, what will I plant in? And to me, that is the light body. As we shed these densities through meditation, practice that uplifts the mind and heart, yoga practice that does that plus uplifting, enhancing the physical body, and also through what we consume food and drink wise. This affects the light body. The more light foods, and I'm not talking about in weight, I'm talking about electric foods. That's what Dr. Sebi talks about, eating electric foods. These foods like plants, different varieties of plants that have literally transmuted light into energy directly with their incredible plant technology. What does eating those foods do for the body? Well, yeah, you think it enhances the light body? I'm here to tell you 100% it does, because I have experienced this, and my life is a longitudinal study, okay? So what are we consuming? Including media. What are our brains consuming? What are we choosing to read? Who do we hang out with? What are we listening to? What do we turn on? If we have a TV, what do we turn it to? Are there people killing each other? How do you think that affects the light body? But I digress. Here's another quote from the book. Once chakras are awakened, it's believed that their transformative effects on the body will contribute to health, longevity, mental clarity, and beyond. And I can say for myself that not only have I been able to release trauma behavior and perception, I've been able to activate extrasensory gifts. And you might be like, well, what does that even mean? Well, if I am transforming my light body, this says that my senses, the ones that we traditionally perceive, sight, smell, sound, touch, taste, all of them become enhanced. What if they become so enhanced that I'm hearing other realms, other dimensions? What if my extrasensory gifts get activated to the point where I'm able to be in direct communication with spirit and my higher self in my dreamscape? What if I am able to read messages that are occurring in someone's mind that they're not speaking out loud? Yeah, I'm talking about telepathy. I'm not saying I can do all this. I'm not saying that. I might be saying it. But there are lots of gifts that all of us can activate through these types of practices. And a lot of our gifts are unique to us. So just because my gifts got activated here, and here, it doesn't mean that those would be the gifts that you would activate for yourself through your clearing process. You might have a gift that I have never even heard of before. You may have a gift that I know nothing about. But because I'm in my gifts and you're in yours, you get to be the one that personally explores your gift. All right? It's amazing. It really is. Another note about chakras and Kundalini yoga and this history of being present in Hinduism and in India. Apparently, the spiritual wisdom of all this was passed down orally for possibly thousands of years before it was ever written down. And I love that. I mean, the traditional oral storytelling has been such an important part of human evolution. And it's so beautiful even to be on this podcast and sharing this space with you, because this is being orally passed down from me to you, from the anointed Buddhist monks to me, and then out to you. I just think continuing that tradition is really incredible. Okay, we're about to move on. Are you ready? Let's go over the chakras one more time, the ones that are presently in my awareness, and then we're going to get into the 9 chakra system specifically. Chakras. All right. Let's illuminate our awareness around the feet chakras, and the soles of the feet. This convergence of nadi lines into centers of energy at the foot, each foot connecting with the ground. You hear people talk about grounding and walking barefoot. This has a lot to do with that, activating the foot chakra, the feet chakras, getting them straight on the dirt, on the earth, on the grass, up on some bark if you're climbing trees, because of the transition of ions to the feet from the ground and vice versa, and the way this affects the energy in the feet. Activating the feet chakras through practices like massage, even. You don't have to go run around barefoot, although that's pretty fun and I highly recommend it. You could go get a foot massage. You could rub your own feet to activate your foot chakras if you want to feel more grounded on this planet at this time. And then below the feet, the Earth Star. Now, these ones that I'm immediately talking about, I don't have an extended amount of information on them because they are newer in my awareness than the 9 chakra system is, which we'll get to after hitting these other points. And I invite all of us to explore them a little deeper. When I think of the Earth Star and this connection to the deepest center point of the core of Earth, of Gaia, that imagery, this beam of light from under my feet going straight all the way down to the center, I mean, immediately, like I feel crown chakra light up. I feel chills on my head right now because just the thought of that strong connection between those points feels really good. So I'm loving the Earth Star. I'm yes, Earth Star up in here, up in here. It's gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. Okay, and then the hand chakras. So something I've learned about the hand chakras lately is that they're an extension of the heart chakra because of the blood flow from the heart out into the arms, the direct flow of blood in those directions. So I look at my hands and I'm thinking of the heart chakra. I just love the connection that exists between the heart and the hand chakras. And the hand chakras are so important for how we engage with the world, how we give our work. You know, whether you're writing, planning, massaging, touching, building, however it is that we interact through our hands, the hand chakras are what are activated when we're doing that work. And if we really want to activate them, go to the source at the heart, activate the heart chakra, and the hand chakras will likely benefit. Love the hand chakras. I'm just staring at my hands like a nerd right now, like, wow. Well, you know, when a lot of what I've witnessed is, and I've heard, is that when the palms are itchy, I've had people experience this in meditation classes where they'll comment to me after class ends that their hands are itching, and immediately what comes in for me is healer activation. You're getting a healer activation. Your hands seek to be open and actively engaging with something to heal, to work with energy, possibly to work with people. That seems very much like a healer or an artist activation. Okay. And then we go up to the soul star above the head. And feel free, if you know of other chakras, comment below on this YouTube platform. Let me know about it, okay? The soul star above the head. Now, I interpret this as being a point of even stronger connection with the divine and with source, with the external than the crown chakra. It's like an extension of the crown chakra. And that's what I'm getting at that point. You know, if your soul star is really activated, then you're probably mission aligned. You're probably aware of what you came here to do, and you're probably doing it. You've probably received a lot of guidance from the divine directly from source to you about what those missions are. Reminders about why you came here, why you chose to come here. Connections even more so with spirit side. Maybe if the soul star is activated, then you have an innate ability to connect with people who exist, spirits who exist on spirit side, friends, family, ancestors, angels. And then let's get into the 7 and 9 chakra system, which focuses on this core area along the spine. So, if we begin at the root, base of the spine, this would be chakra number 1, whether we are in the 7 chakra or 9 chakra system. In the 7 chakra system, I read about it relating to stability and security. In the 9 chakra system, at the basic level, it's associated with trust, which I think is so beautiful. If we move up the spine and we go to this next center, well, are you thinking of the 7 chakra system? Because if you are, then this would be the sacral. The sacral is pretty much above the root chakra until the diaphragm, until the opening of the ribs. So 7 chakra system, sacral, very connected to creativity. In the 9 chakra system, chakra number 2 and 3 make up the sacral. So essentially, in the 9 chakra system, the sacral chakra is 2 separate spheres of energy. And I use that word separate pretty lightly because all of it is connected. In any case, the hara at the navel is chakra number 2 in the 9 chakra practice, and at the basic level, it's associated with personal responsibility. That has been a powerful center for me personally. Accepting personal responsibility for the way I have co-created my life up to this point and the way I co-create it moving forward. Accepting responsibility will change your life. It has changed mine for sure. Not that I wasn't responsible before, but now I choose to be as radically responsible for my experience as I possibly can, and I find that empowering in creating my life moving forward. Moving on, chakra number 3 in the 9 chakra system, aka the upper half of the sacral in the 7 chakra system. This is called the Dantian. And this center in the 9 chakra system is related to harmony, balance, and I'm going to give you an advanced word. That stuff is on the basic level. Again, there's a basic and an advanced level for the entire 9 chakra system. Basic level at the Dantian being about harmony and balance, and one of the more advanced words is humility, which I touched on earlier. And I think of the phrase, humble yourself or be humbled. Yeah, I would rather humble myself. I've been humbled a lot of times. I would rather do it by myself in advance. So this is a great area for exploring the meaning of those words. And then moving up, we have a similarity in both the 7 and 9 chakra system. We have the solar plexus. The solar plexus at the diaphragm, at the chest, between the breast, below the heart, and above the dantian, above the sacral, above the opening of the ribs. And I'll just throw a note in there. One of the reasons I really like the 9 chakra system is because from a biological perspective, there's a certain amount of balance in the placements of the 9 where they're equally spaced from one another. Where in the 7 chakra system, it seems like there's some lack of clarity around where exactly the centers are. And when I have seen them mapped out, they're not equally spaced from each other. So that's one of the reasons I really appreciate the 9 chakra system, just from a biological perspective, because of the way they lay in what looks and feels like perfect order. Perfectly spaced, equally spaced from one another. In any case, the solar plexus in the 7 chakra system, I've heard the solar plexus associated with confidence, which I love. Yeah, a little confidence boost. In the 9 chakra system, at the basic level, the concept is healing. And the visual is a radiating, pulsing yellow light, a solar light pulsing outward in every direction, sending healing energy to every part of the internal self, mental, emotional, physical. Moving up into the heart, which is shared between both the 7 and 9 chakra system. In the 7 chakra system, of course, I've heard it associated with love, with love. And in the 9 chakra system, the basic level practice is focused on self-acceptance. Wowzers. That is a big one. To be able to accept the self, to come into the heart space with unconditional love and explore radical self-acceptance. How can I accept myself more today? How can I accept myself for the mistakes that I've made? How can I accept myself for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Z? And then in practicing that, it helps me be much more tolerant and accepting of people outside of me because, we're all going through something. We're all going through this human experience on earth right now. And when we can have compassion for ourselves and that inner talk, that self-talk become healthy, when we can come into a state of forgiveness to ourselves, it does help when relating to other people. So that's the heart chakra. In this perspective, the 9 chakra system, the heart chakra is also known as the portal between the realms, the earthly chakras, which are below the heart, and the spiritual or the heavenly chakras that are above the heart. The heart space being the portal, the bridge between. And then both systems share the throat chakra. Throat chakra pretty much across the board relates to communication, being able to clearly communicate, being able to compassionately communicate, being able to emotionally communicate. One of the ways I've interpreted the throat chakra through my personal practice up to this point is the knowing that the voice is our spirit manifested through sound. If only sound could be perceived, the voice is the representative of the individual spirit. And it is important for our throat chakras to be able to communicate because each of us came here for a number of reasons. And the voice, the throat chakra, is a big part in how effective we are able to do what we came here to do. So I invite all of us to take a deep breath into the throat chakra. Yes, exercising the voice. Many of us have experienced difficulties in the throat chakra. Many of us have experienced traumas that have shut down the throat chakra. One of the benefits that comes from healing trauma is that the behaviors which we adapted through trauma and dealing with it no longer have to be applied. So, for example, I learned this because of this trauma, that it's better if I'm quiet and don't speak my truth because I tried doing that then and it was not well received. That's just an example. And then an example of someone who's healing through that is I understand that for a while the behavior of not speaking did serve me because I was in a situation where maybe it was unsafe or whatever. And now that I recognize that my silence is actually a behavior of unresolved trauma, I can practice using my authentic voice so that my throat chakra heals and so that I release the trauma completely because it's no longer applicable to me at this point in my adult life. You with me? Okay, and now we're going to get into a center. We're almost done. Thanks for listening up until this point, everybody. Feel free to give the video a like. Feel free to share it if you find the content stimulating. We're about to get into the Jade Gate, which is an additional center of the 9 chakra system, not recognized by the 7 chakra system. The Jade Gate is the space between the throat chakra and the third eye or first eye, pineal gland, brain center area. The Jade Gate, and I invite you to touch this space right now. It's at the top of the spine and the base of the skull where you feel that divot in your head. Yep, right there. You can feel it. It's pretty clear. It's easy to realize once you put your hands to it. That space is the Jade Gate. If we are looking at this space from a physiological point of view, the Jade Gate is the space where all messages from the brain travel through to get to the rest of the body. And the Jade Gate is where all of the messages from the body travel through in order to get to the brain. This is a super highway here of information. And if we spend awareness here clearing it up, then our brain-body connection is going to increase. And I've personally experienced a huge increase in coordination and clarity of mind and movement. Yes, lots of clarity there. And the Jade Gate, I freaking love this about the Jade Gate. The Buddhists, they really know what's up. The Hindus, thank you, Kundalini Yoga. Okay, you are much appreciated. The Jade Gate is the gateway into quantum. You do not have to know anything about quantum at this point. If you were to go into this space of the Jade Gate and contemplate the quantum realm, you would receive information about it. Or if you look up some physics information, some general concepts, the quantum realm is the level of subatomic space, smaller than an atom, between atoms. There is no time on this dimension. There is no matter. There are no things, no materials. It's pure energy, pure frequency, pure vibration. That is a fun place to explore. So that's the Jade Gate. And then moving up, we've got this center that's shared by both practices, the 7 and the 9 chakra system. This is the third eye. Specifically, the pineal gland is what most people are referring to when they talk about the third eye. A lot of people call it the first eye too, and I like that one a lot. The pineal gland can be actively stimulated into secreting DMT by the practice of meditation and breath work. And so we can have an experience that is, we'll say, more sensitive. DMT, the hallucinogens of mushrooms and like acid LSD, people take that because of the DMT drip. That's what induces the hallucinogenic, I think I'm saying that right, effect. So, how crazy is it to realize that we can do that without any external input? Without mushrooms, without LSD, without acid, without all that stuff. Although, I like things that nature grows. I'm not saying don't do that microdose. But, we can achieve a certain amount of awakening and higher level consciousness that physically is stimulating the pineal gland into secreting drips of DMT by meditating, by practicing meditation and breath work. And then, doing that over time, you are experiencing life in a much different way because awareness has radically upgraded through the practice. So I'm just saying. All right, and we're about to wrap this up. We're at the crown chakra now. Also, just one more note on the third eye, first eye, pineal gland. I have recently come into calling it the brain center because the brain is especially compartmentalized, and each section of the brain has specific roles to do and specific functions that only occur in that space of the brain. I think by bringing awareness to the full brain, the entire brain center, not only are we activating the pineal gland, but we're activating the coherence of the entire brain itself. So you'll hear me talk about it as the brain center. And then the crown. Let's get to the crown. The crown at the top of the head in both practices, 7 and 9 chakra systems, is often seen as the ever unfolding lotus, the infinitely blooming lotus, this space of connecting with the divine, connecting with the higher self. What came to me after multiple years of practicing meditation is the phrase, the one self. It's like the higher self squared. The one self that has experienced all lifetimes. Whether you accept or reject past lives, that's up to you. I accept because I've experienced the recall of them. So this crown chakra, this connection with the one self, enhancing this connection, what I hypothesize is that as we continue to clear and clean this physical vessel, we are creating space for the one self. We're creating space for the one self, the one individual that we are, who has experienced all lifetimes, who has access to all lessons ever learned by the individual. If we're creating space in the physical body, then we are inviting in the one self into the physical vessel to be fully embodied in this present time space for moving through this present life. I get full body chills talking about it right now. I mean, this is a profound concept that with intention and awareness, changes in behavior, we can upgrade ourselves to such a level where we are fully embodying the one self that has always been ever since it began to exist. What if we could walk through life with all of the lessons we've already learned so that we don't have to learn them again? What if we could walk through life with the infinite wisdom that we have already acquired and forgotten somewhere along the way? It's easy to forget in contemporary times because there are a lot of distractions, including materialism, like we talked about earlier. But what if we can invite this one self, this higher self, this fully embodied spirit into the physical form? Oh my gosh, we're talking about quantum leaps. Quantum leaps. Quantum leaping into parallel timelines, the one that is most optimal for everyone on Earth, everything across the universe, all energy that has ever existed will alter into the time-space reality that is most optimal for having embodied the one self. That's all I'm saying. We gotta end it right here, people. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I've loved sharing this information with you. More episodes dropping every 4 days on Light Diamond Creative YouTube channel. Find me, Light Diamond Creative, on Instagram for all of the great creative works that are coming out hot. And I will see you all, hear you all, be with you all next time. Much love. Peace.